Welcome to the Motober series, where I attempt to recreate my Inktober illustrations as motion graphics. Today's prompt is Misfit. Let's have a look. So I have recreated Bojack Horseman, and this is probably my favourite little animation that I've done so far. I drew the original sketch. You have Bojack looking all sad with the bear next to him. He's not a happy horse. Give him that kind of stubborn look, looking towards the bear, looking away, realising it's himself that is the problem. So the most interesting thing going on is Bojack. Let's start with the head. It's made up of multiple elements. We have the ear that has an anchor point where the ear should be. You've got the hair, which has a wave warp effect on, which is supposed to have his hair blowing about in the wind. That's what it's supposed to look like. It looks a little more trippy to me. The eyebrows, which rotate to give emphasis on how our character is feeling. And the eye composition, I've just got the two eyes. I've got like an eye bag underneath as well that I've animated to come in at certain points and to ease back out. To get the closing of the eyes, I've created this shape layer and I've used a set mat and attached it to the eyes composition just so it sits over the top. Now, I've done this in a previous episode. When you do that effect, you lose the stroke around the eyes. So what I tend to do is duplicate the eye layer and just take out the fill of the eye as well, so it sits on top so you get your stroke back. The mouth is its own layer, and I've got these teeth that show up as well with the mouth on. I've just animated the path properties so it looks like the mouth is actually opening, and that just goes back and forward. The teeth are a square shape layer with a repeater, and it's got two repeaters on just to send it across and down. And then I've used the set mat effect and I've put that on the open mouth layer, which is this top layer. It's a very low opacity, and then the opacity goes straight to 100 when the mouth starts to open. And then I've just created a change of path animation, and I've got it to reverse as well. So he opens his mouth, bares his teeth, and closes his mouth again. The head layer is the main layer that everything else is pick whipped to, and it has a rotation point. Just gives him more emphasis when he's looking in the direction of the bear can. Over the top, I have a texture that I made in Photoshop. The original Bojack cartoon seems to have these kind of textures that sit over the characters and different aspects of the environment. So I just created a PNG within Photoshop where I took a couple of watercolor brushes and just painted this in. And I've used this, taken the opacity down. I've used the set mat effect and copied the texture a bunch of times for the whole of Bojack's head and his hands as well. I've rotated one of the arms, because when you get more serious you would tend to fold your arms a little bit more. That was the thinking behind that. I wanted the hand to look like he had his fingers around his arm. When he lifts his arms, his fingers slip further down and you just see the back of his hand. And again, when it's coming out, I thought that was quite a nice little change for the hand. The other hand just changes position as well. The path properties are just constantly changing throughout that movement. The wooden texture is just something I found from textures.com, and then I've just put it in 3D space, moved it into the same position as the sketch. And the rest of the environment is made up of shape layers. There's a slight wave warp effect on the clouds, but not so much because I wanted the main focus to be Bojack. And then you have this kind of bear next to him, which is made up of a couple of shape layers, some text. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you're taking part in Inktober, good luck for day 19.